In the recent session, we have seen that any PAM solution performs the two things: password management. I'm always, multiple times I'm reiterating these things, two things, because these are the most important things. And whatever the operations we are doing in CyberArk, that would be revolving around these two things: password management and session management. Okay. Now, since we have installed the CPM, we'll talk about the password management now, and we'll talk about the account management. Account onboarding. Okay. Now, let's say I have a Windows server for which there is a Windows server for which I need to onboard the administrator account. Okay. So, what details I would require? So, first and foremost is the server name. Server name. Let me make it in this way. The first detail I would require is a server name. Server name could be like FQDN of the server, fully qualified domain name, host name of the server, or IP of the server. Any of the detail is good enough for onboarding, an account in Cyber. The second thing I would require is account which I need to onboard. Account could be whatever the account I want to administer. Let's say administrator, admin one. So it could be anything, whatever the account I want to onboard, which is having the privileges. Okay, whichever having the privileges or extended permissions, I can onboard into CyberArk. The third thing would be address. Okay, what is the address of that particular for that account? So it could be IP address, or it could be FQDN as well. Fourth thing would be, so there are two things. The first is the mandatory thing. So these are the mandatory things, because the the CyberArk will not be able to identify the account until and unless you do not define these three things. Rest three are basically the optional things. In the optional things, we would be having the port, like whatever the port is needed to connect to this particular server. Let's say if you are uh, accessing Windows server, you would require 3389 port. If you're accessing Unix server, you would require 22 port. If you're accessing the network devices, you would require telnet port. If you're accessing any website, you would require 443 port, HTTPS. If you are accessing database machine, you require 1521 port. So, I mean, whatever the port which is needed to access that machine, that would be needed. So here, there are two ports needed. First is for the password management. Second is for the session management. Okay, from the password management, the port should be reachable from the CPM. Okay, from the CPM to the target machine, we have some ports reachable. Okay, for session management, from the CPSM to the target machine, we have some ports reachable. So let's say for managing the password, for changing the password from the CPM to the target Windows server, we require these ports: 135, 139, 445. These three ports are needed. For session management, if you want to take a session, if you want to connect to a Windows server from CyberArk PSM, you require 3389 port. Same goes for Unix as well. For password management, you require SSH port, and for session management also you require the SSH port. Feel free to stop me if something is confusing or you're not able to grasp anything. Feel free to stop me right away there itself. Similarly, I think we have the port details available here. So now you can see that from the CPM we require these ports. 139.445 Unix 2223 Oracle 1521. This is for the password management, so we can rotate the password of the target machine from the CPM. Let me just go down here. CPM port requirement. For Windows domain, we require these ports. For local accounts, we require these ports. For Unix, we require these ports. So this is something we require from different from target system to system. We require different ports. So this is basically the prerequisites you need to gather from the person who wants to onboard accounts in CyberArk. That he should be able to share as the server name, he should be able to share as the account name, he should be able to share as the address name. And the prerequisite that you would be checking in whether the ports required ports from the CPM and from the PSM are available or not. So whether you have the connectivity with these three ports from your CPM, whether you have this port connectivity from the PSM or not, okay, then you are good to onboard in CyberArk. So this is the basically the ports are needed for the session management as well as the password management as well. I would be stressing on these two terms throughout the session because this is something that we would be dealing in when we talk about PAM. Now you have analyzed the prerequisite that the ports are in order, the account details are shared by the end user, the host name is shared by the end user, the IP detail is shared by the end user, everything is shared by the end user. Now for onboarding, what is needed? Okay, so in order to onboard in CyberArk, what are the things that you require? So in the initial session, we have discussed that we have the vault, which is the main storage. Under the vault, we have lots of safes. Okay. So first and foremost, we require a safe in which you would be storing your credentials. In the safe, you would be storing server name, address. Basically, in the safe, you would store server name, address of that particular server, and the password and the account name. So this is first thing from the CyberArk onboarding. You would require a safe. Okay, first and foremost is the safe you require. Safe is nothing but the logical storage of your CyberArk. The second thing you would require is the policy. Policy and the platform are one and the same thing. It is something called the I would say it is a kind of baseline for something. Okay, let's say if I'm onboarding Windows account, so I would require a Windows policy. Now in Windows also I have a lot of category. I have local Windows accounts, I have desktop Windows account, I have domain Windows account. Okay, things like that I could be having. So accordingly, I need to have the policy for different things. So for local, I have a local policy, Windows local policy. For desktop, I should be having the local Windows desktop policy. For domain, I should be having the Windows domain policy. Things like that. So this is something. The second thing that you require the policy for anything, whatever the type of accounts you require onboard in CyberArk, you would require the policy to be available. Whatever the types of account you onboard, you require a policy. Let me recollect what else is needed. Now you can see, if I were to onboard an account, I need to select these things. Whether the account is Windows account, Unix account, application account, website accounts, that's just like we were discussing here. Cloud service, database service, whatever the kind of account we have. Second is platform. Platform and policy are one and the same thing. So we have different policies and platform available over here. Okay, we have the platform for the website, for the application, for the operating system, for cloud service, for network, whatever the type of account we would be onboarding, different platforms are available. So as long as you have the platform, you can onboard anything in CyberArk. Okay. If something is not appearing here, you have an option to onboard it from the you can basically import a platform from the marketplace. Marketplace is a repository for CyberArk. In case if something you want to onboard but the platform is not available, you can always refer the marketplace. So this is the repository for CyberArk from which you can refer. Let me get into the main page once again. Now let's say if I were to open if I were to onboard an account. So first thing I would be selecting the safe. Okay, whatever the safe I want to onboard into. Let's say I would create a safe first of all. Let's say if I want to create Windows safe, I would be onboarding Windows accounts in this. Also, I need to select the CPM, which will basically be changing the password, verifying the password, reconciling the password. So we have two CPMs, so anyone I can select. Let's select the second one, which I have installed today. I will save the settings. Okay, this seems a copyrighted safe here. Let's call it my safe. So this safe is created now. Okay. The second is the policy. Whether I have the policy or not, I need to select that as well. So for Windows, for Windows domain account, we have a policy as well available in the CyberArk. So we have this policy, Windows domain account. If I were to open desktop or onboard desktop account, we have a policy for that as well. For local accounts also we have a policy as well. I mean local server accounts which are not added into any domain. So for that also we have a policy available. Now, policy is one thing that we have for different platform. We have different policies or platform available. There is something called master policy. Master policy is nothing but the generic policy through which all these platforms are governed. Okay, now what is master policy? We'll discuss first of all because that is important, and then we will onboard the accounts. And as I said, just feel free to stop me if something is very confusing or you are not able to understand. Feel free to stop me right away. This is called the master policy. Master policy is nothing but the generic settings which are applicable to every policy. Let's say if I have hundreds of policies, like Windows policy, Unix policies, database policy, whatever the policy I have. Master policy is basically the baseline policy. It will have the generic settings which are applicable to any policy. Okay. Now, first is thing require dual control. Okay, require dual control password access approval. Now, let's say if I want to connect to some particular system of or a server, so whether I need to seek some approval from my line manager or something, this is inactive by default. If I want to enable this feature, that means whenever I want to connect to any Windows server or Unix server or database device, I need to seek an approval from my line manager. He will be approving the request in CyberArk, and then only I can access that server. So you can see the value is inactive. That means all the platforms, whether it is Unix platform, Windows platform, whatever the platforms we have, it is inactive for all. If I want to make it active, I can do it from here. If I want to make it only selective active, let's say for Windows only I want to make it active, I can do that as well by adding it in the exception. So we will be doing that as well. In the meantime, I'm just making it inactive the way it was. Enforce check-in, check-out, exclusive access. What is this? Let's say if I have logged into a server, okay, not let's say this is the server. I have logged into the server with admin one. Okay. Now let's say somebody is also having the credentials for this admin one. Okay, he also tries to log in. As soon as he logs in, I would be kicked out from the server, because a single account cannot have the multiple concurrent session with the same account. If I have admin one account, I have logged into some server, somebody is also having the account password, admin one password, he would also be try to log in. That means either of us can log into this. So there is a notification issued on the server that this person wants to take over. Whether you want to allow him or not, if I'm there already on the server, I can just kick out that person. If I'm not there on the server, he can take over the session. So you might have seen that in your day-to-day life as well, that this is usually happens. So while enabling this thing, enforce check-in, check-out, exclusive access, the person who has already logged in, the other person will not be able to get inside that server until and unless the former logs out that session.
For check-in, check-out, it's usually happen for the RDP session also if we are not
Yes,
implementing
yeah,
Cyber.
exactly. So check in, check out. If you have not implemented, then anybody can take over your session. If you're doing some sort of mission critical activity, okay, you do not want
Okay.
any intervention, and somebody comes in between. You are in middle of something, and somebody comes in during that time. Your session would be kicked out. He will take over the session. So this is not something which is expected in a critical work. And you expect your complete isolation once you are doing some activity, unless you only release the account, you only sign out from the session, the other person will not be able to take up your session at all. So this is very important thing. And we would be wherever the PAM solution is implemented, you would be implementing this thing, enforce check-in, check-out. Then enforce one-time password access. So this is something, let's say I have done my work, okay, on this server. I was logged in with this admin one account on this server. I have logged out as well on this server with the admin one account. Okay, the moment I am logged out, the password for this admin one would be changed by a CPN. Okay, this is something that we have discussed in the initial stage, that we do not want the static password hashes to be available in any server. The moment you are done with the activity, it would again be changed. So there is no possibility of your password being compromised by any hacker or someone. Ideally, the password is not visible to you, but still, if there are some attempts are being made to recover your password, in that case that would be failed, because immediately the session gets over, the password would also be changed, and the password hashes would also be changed correspondingly. Allow EPB transparent, I'll let you know later. Require users to specify reason for access. So whenever you try to connect to something, you would be prompted to specify reason, whether it could be change number, incident number, RITM, or anything else. You need to specify that why are you accessing a server. If you are accessing a domain controller, for an example, you would be prompted for a reason. So you need to specify the ServiceNow reference or a remedy reference or any ticketing reference. Plus you would also need to specify with a statement that why are you accessing that particular server. So these rules are basically generic to all the platforms, whatever the platforms we are dealing with. This would be generic to all the platforms. All the platforms would be abiding to these rules. Then password management require password change every X days. So for all platforms, it is 90 days. In every 90 days, the password would be changed. Over and above, you can enforce this thing as well. Enforce one time password access. So every time the person uses logs off from a session, his password would be changed. Okay, but after 90 days also the password would be changed. Let's say if somebody has not accessed anything for like 90 days, in that case, once the 90 days happens, the password would be changed for all the target machine. We do have an option to downsize this value from 90 days to 30 days, 15 days, 1 week, anything you can always do. That's a generic value of your organization. Ideally it is 30 days from the organizational perspective. So in every 30 days you would have the password change happening. Then the verification would happen in every 7 days. If somebody has bypassed CyberArk and changed the password of that particular account that is onboarded in CyberArk, the verification would fail, and you will get to know that the verification is failed. Now you need to reconcile that account. So this is 7 days, 7 days for all the accounts, for all the platforms, whatever you have. As I said, you have an option to edit that field as well. Then session management require privileged session monitoring isolation. Whether you want the session to be monitored via PSM. So this is inactive as of now. Once we install the PSM, you will enable this. Record and save session activity. Whether you want the session activity to be recorded and saved in Vault. So this is also active as of now. So once we do anything on a target machine, our session would be recorded and saved in Vault. Activity audit and retention period. So whatever the activities are there, whatever the logs are there, like the keystrokes logs, the video logs, the audit logs, that would be retained in for 90 days. After 90 days, they would automatically be deleted. So if you have the higher storage available in the Vault server, you can always have an option to extend that period, and accordingly the period the logs would be retained in your CyberArk Vault. So these are the generic settings. Okay, I will not go further for onboarding things, because I will try to add more devices into the environment, like Unix device as well. So we can onboard the accounts from both of them, and we will see the change, reconcile, and verification process accordingly. So is it clear till now, guys? Let me know.